I didn't go to the pass to solve anything. I went because a box arrived at my apartment with no return address, no note, and my name typed in perfect block letters like it had been printed by a machine that didn't know how to be human. Inside was a reel-to-reel tape, a rusted steel key, and a strip of canvas cut from a tent. The canvas still smelled like old smoke and cold fabric, and something else underneath it, something metallic, like a coin held too long in a mouth. A label had been glued to the tape spool, yellowed and cracking. "Don't play this where the wind can hear it." I laughed once, just once. Then the radiator clicked, and the apartment went quiet in a way that felt deliberate. I played the tape anyway. At first it was only hiss, then a voice, muffled, distant, Russian maybe, then another sound sliding under it, too low to be music, too steady to be wind, a pressure in the bones, a note that didn't enter through your ears so much as your teeth. I felt it in my jaw, in my eyes. I stopped the tape. The silence after was worse, because the hum didn't leave immediately. It faded slowly, like something backing away through a corridor. That night I dreamed of snow, and footprints arranged in a calm, single-file line, as if the people making them had forgotten what panic was. In the dream, I followed those prints until they stopped at the edge of a dark forest. Then I heard fabric tearing, and a voice whispering close to my ear, in English so clean it sounded recorded. "Cut from the inside." I'm not proud how quickly curiosity can make me stupid. My channel was small then, true crime, eerie deep dives, atmospheric storytelling, the kind of content that makes people check their locks, then hit play on the next video anyway. I'd covered the Dyatlov Pass incident before. Everyone had. 9 hikers in 1959, the ripped tent, the impossible injuries, the missing answers that grow fangs when you stare too long. But I'd never had something like that tape, something physical, something that felt personal. So I assembled a crew, not a big one, the kind of team you can lose without headlines. Mara, a cinematographer who could make a parking lot look like a haunted cathedral. Jonas, my sound guy, obsessive about frequencies and silence like they were living creatures. And me, the one who talks, the one who turns dread into content. We flew into Yekaterinburg, then drove until roads became suggestions, and the sky lowered itself over the landscape like a lid. The locals didn't like our questions, not because they didn't know the story, because they did. An old man at a roadside cafe watched us load our gear and said something in Russian that made the younger waitress cross herself. Mara leaned closer to the waitress later and asked what he said. The waitress hesitated, then whispered, "He said you are bringing your own storm." That night, in the cheap hotel, Jonas set the reel-to-reel on the desk like a bomb. "Tell me you didn't bring the tape," Mara said. "I brought the tape," I said. Jonas ran fingers along the cracked label. "This is old, but the adhesive isn't. Someone relabeled it recently." "Meaning someone wants us to play it," Mara said. I tried to grin. It came out weak. "We're not playing it here." Jonas's eyes flicked to the window. Snow was starting, fine as dust. Good. The wind pressed its palm against the glass as if listening. 2 days later, we were on snowmobiles with a local guide named Pavel, heading toward the pass. Pavel didn't talk much. He wore his hood up even indoors, like he was always preparing to leave in a hurry. The closer we got, the more the world emptied. Trees grew sparse, the horizon flattened, the sky became one long bruise, and then the mountain appeared. Not dramatic, not jagged, just present, a broad shoulder of snow under cloud. Pavel killed the engine and looked up at it like you'd look at a closed door you knew was locked from the other side. Cholatz Yakul, he said. Mansi name, Mara murmured. Mountain of the Dead. Pavel didn't correct her. He just spat into the snow like it tasted bad. We hiked the last stretch with sleds, breath turning to crystals. Each step made a sound like brittle paper being crushed. When we reached the pass, the wind hit us full on. It wasn't howling, it was steady, a constant push. It didn't sound angry, it sounded patient. Pavel planted our poles with quick, practiced movements. We camp lower, he said. Jonas checked our map, but the original team camped on the slope. Pavel stared at him for a long moment. They should not have. We camped lower. Still, the wind found us. It always does. That first night, inside the tent, Mara's batteries drained faster than they should have. Jonas's recorder picked up a low tone whenever he pointed the mic toward the mountain, even though the wind should have been too chaotic to produce a stable frequency. He played it back for us, the waveform clean and unwavering. "It's like a carrier signal," he said softly. "A signal for what?" Mara asked. Jonas didn't answer right away. He kept listening, eyes half-lidded like he was tracking something moving in the dark. "Sometimes," he finally said, "you don't broadcast to communicate. You broadcast to locate." I laughed again, but it sounded too loud in the tight space of the tent, like a wrong move in a church. Outside, the wind pressed along the canvas, searching for seams. Sometime after midnight, I woke up with my heart pounding, not from a nightmare, from the sensation that someone had leaned their face close to the tent wall and exhaled. The fabric bowed inward slightly. I held my breath. The bowing eased. Then I heard it, a faint scrape. Not wind, not snow. The careful sound of something dragging a fingernail down canvas, slow and curious, as if reading Braille. Mara slept, turning away. Jonas lay still, eyes open in the darkness. He whispered, "You hear it too." I didn't reply. I couldn't. The scraping stopped. For a moment the wind sounded normal. Then from somewhere uphill there was a muffled crack, like ice snapping, or a bone. Jonas turned toward the mountain and whispered like he didn't want the wind to hear him, "It's closer." In the morning, the snow around our tent was smooth. Too smooth. Pavel squinted at it and walked a slow circle, boots crunching. He stopped near the entrance and pointed. A line, pressed into the snow, a shallow groove. "Something pulled," he said. "Like an animal?" I asked. He looked at me with something close to pity. "No animal make no tracks." Jonas knelt and ran a gloved hand over the groove. It's like something was slid, not stepped. Mara lifted the camera, filming, but her hands trembled a little. She tried to hide it. Pavel turned his head, listening. Even in daylight, the wind made the same steady push. "We go," he said. "Already?" I said. "We go," he repeated. He didn't argue. He just started packing as if time itself had become dangerous. We hiked higher anyway, because of course we did. Because content needs proximity. Because humans believe the next hill will explain the last one. By late afternoon, we stood at the slope where the original hikers had set their tent. It felt wrong instantly, like stepping into a spot on the floor that creaks and realizing the house was trying to warn you. Jonas granted a tripod mic and began recording the ambient sound. Mara filmed a slow pan over the ridge, the pale sky, the blank expanse. I stood where the tent had been, and for a second my vision shimmered. It wasn't hallucination exactly. It was like the air remembered something and showed me a still image. 9 figures in heavy coats, backs bent against wind, moving with calm efficiency, their faces indistinct, and behind them a 10th shape, taller, too thin, standing perfectly upright, as if the wind couldn't touch it. Then my eyes blinked, and the image was gone. "Eli, you okay?" Mara asked. I forced a nod. Jonas waved us over. "Listen to this." He played the recording. The wind hissed, yes, but underneath it the same steady hum, cleaner now, louder, and beneath that hum, faint as distant speech, a pattern of sounds that almost became words. Almost. Jonas scrubbed the audio, isolating frequencies. The pattern sharpened. A whisper layered and doubled like a chorus trying to imitate one voice. I leaned closer. And then the whisper turned into something unmistakable in English with the wrong kind of clarity. "Come closer." Mara went still.